Hey folks, good morning. How you doing? It is a bright and early Thursday morning. If you don't know who I am, I'm Jim Valeri, and I've been doing marriage counseling and for 20 years, and I've been married for 20 years. So that's kind of my claim to fame. Did the marriage summit yesterday, and I have to tell you, there's a lot of takeaways that I got from that. Met a lot of fascinating and amazing people. We're talking about all kinds of stuff. There was somebody there who work with people on divorce and knowing when the right time is to call it quits. That was kind of shocking for me. She was a little controversial. It's pretty cool. There's another guy talking about anger, which is something that I can relate to and something that I've worked with people on. One of the people that I talked that did a talk yesterday was Kimberly and Dan Graham, and they had a heck of a story, and it reminded me a lot of my story. It reminded me a lot of my wife and my story and about how we got to where we are. And if you have any questions or anything you want to add to the conversation, please feel free to pop a comment in the comment section and I will address it live. And if I can't address it live, I'll address it tomorrow for sure. But be that as it may. So they had this presentation about talking about money and how husbands and wives have to be on the same page about money. And I think one of the divorce statistics out there was that there was a time when the number one reason why men and women got divorced was they weren't on the same page about money. It was kind of nuts. I couldn't believe it. But then I look back at my marriage. I look back at my wife and our struggle. And our big problem was talking about money. Surprise, surprise. And it was really, really tough for us to talk about it. And that's part of the story that I tell people is that, look, my wife and I, we struggled talking about money and we had to develop a way to talk about problems, period, not just about money. So that's where my story comes into play. But they kind of went into a number of different ways to kind of manage finances and things like that. And I just kind of want to challenge you guys. I do this every day. I challenge you every day. I don't know. It's first thing in the morning. We're rolling out of bed. We're all having our first cup of coffee, and here I am challenging you. Maybe I need to back off on that a little bit. But what I will say is, I think that there is something to be said about being on the same page with your spouse about some things. Okay, you're not going to be on the same page about everything. Okay, just ask me. My wife and I aren't on the same page about politics. We're not on the same page about a few things. Number of animals in the house, for example. If it were up to my wife, we would have a zoo. Okay, we would have llamas. We would have pony, probably, a few other things. Okay, we probably have another dog or two. All right, and I'm just like, dude, no, please stop. I don't really want to deal with the zoo that would create. But the important things to be on the same page with your spouse about are money. And so they kind of got into their story about how they were sitting down. They had all these bills in front of them, and they weren't sure how the heck they were going to do it. So they had to go through a process of trying to get out of the debt they were in a way to sort of transform that. So they have a whole methodology. If you guys are interested in connecting with them, I'll pop their info in the comment section there. I should probably tag them in this too, because they might appreciate that. But anyway, so ultimately, long story short, they developed a methodology of trying to get on the same page about finances. And I really want to reiterate this with anybody out there who is struggling in their marriage about money. It is really, really top tier to be able to kind of agree on those things. One of the I kind of lurk in the Facebook group called Marriage Club. And if you really haven't been there and you want to see people who are happily married, do yourself a big favor. Go over to that group, the public group. They are hysterical. Okay, they are really, really funny. They love being married and they love joking about it. They love kind of poking fun at some of the things that people do in marriage. And so one of the things that they kind of were joking a lot about around Christmas time was that women were doing all this shopping on Amazon. All the wives doing these shopping on Amazon. Packages would come into the house, and people would do these TikTok videos about how these like moving trucks are backing up and loading out these boxes of stuff for Christmas, and the guys are like, "What is all this?" what? I can't believe what are you doing? What's going on here? How come you have all these packages? And like hilarity ensues. It's really funny stuff. But the funny thing about that though is that there's this thing that's happening where the wives are buying all these things and the guys are completely oblivious. All right. And that, it's great if you have that kind of trust. If you're like, yeah, cool, okay, yeah, buy whatever you need. Totally great. And if you're in a place for that, awesome. But not everybody's there. Not everybody has that kind of budget going on. And some people need to be able to work on getting out of debt. So I want to encourage you and challenge you. My wife and I, we had a lot of debt. We still have a little bit of credit card debt we're trying to hammer through. But we had a lot. I mean, a lot. And for those of you who don't know, for those of you who are oblivious to credit cards, just don't get them. Okay, I wish I could just sit there and just be like, look, man, if somebody told me early on, look, Jim, don't do it, dude. Don't do it. All right. And I'm like, why, man? I need some tacos. This is literally what I did in college. Was I got credit cards, and I would go out to dinner with my friends, and I would buy tacos at Taco Bell. And I put it on my credit card. I was a moron. I'm perfectly willing to admit it. And one of the things that people don't tell you about is that the credit cards, their interest rates are crazy. It's like 30%. Like, do you read the fine print? Yeah, they'll start you off at 0% or $9.99 or whatever, but they will hit you with 30% after like a year. 30%. So basically, for every dollar you put on that thing, they're going to charge you 30 cents. As long as you have a balance with them, they're going to charge you, I think, 30 cents a month or whatever it is per dollar. Okay, so a third of the debt that you're going to accrue in a year is based on whatever your balance is. If you have a balance of $1,000, they're going to build in a year a $300 additional fee for you to just kind of have your money hanging around there for you to go out and buy tacos. All right, you have $10,000, forget about it. It's an extra $3,000 a year. If you're just paying the minimums, that's like $3,000, and then another $3,000, and another $3,000, and it's compounding interest. And if you've ever been in massive debt, it is really, really hard to get out of it. All right. And my wife and I had to be really dedicated. She went back to work. She started working at a high school because she went back to school and got a degree. She went and got her degree in ceramics. And I was kind of like, you got a degree in ceramics? It's like getting a degree in basket weaving. She was like, I know, I just need to get a bachelor's degree so I can get a job. I'm like, cool, sweet, let's get you a job. She got her bachelor's degree, went to work, started teaching. She started teaching pottery on her own. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not exactly what I thought that was going to do, but cool, no worries. You're doing what you love. I'm doing what I love. Do it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she gets this phone call from somebody she did student teaching with, who teaches a pottery class in a high school. She's like, hey, I'm like 8.5 months pregnant. I just passed out in my classroom. I know I taught with you. Can you please teach my class? And by the way, you can start tomorrow. So she said, all right, sounds good. Let's do it. And so they fast tracked her in, and she worked for 2 years. And literally, like, all the money that she made, we hammered debt with. It was kind of awesome. And we got out of a lot of debt. And the moral of the story is, don't get there to begin with. Okay? That's really the key here. Because if you are struggling with debt, or if you are thinking about, hey, you know what, vacations are great, let's go put it on a credit card. Don't waste your time. Okay? Do yourself a big favor. Get the heck out of the debt. You haven't heard anything from Dave Ramsey, or you haven't picked up the Total Money Makeover, that was game changer for us. Definitely check him out. Check his stuff out. His book is fantastic. The program for a year, I think, is like $400, something like that, and it's a really good program. Like, not for nothing. But yeah, so the stuff we learned yesterday, Kim and Dan, definitely rock solid stuff. And I would encourage you, if you're really struggling and you really need somebody to hold your hand, I'll put their information in the link in the comments, and you can reach out to them. But huge message on marriage and keeping it together is this notion of being on the same page about money. You've got to be able to do it. You've got to work on money, because there's a lot of stuff to buy, man. There's a lot of stuff out there. New TV, this and that, a lot of great things to go and buy and going out to eat. Oh man, go out to eat and stuff like that. I've had clients who've lost their jobs, and they're kind of like, I had this lifestyle that I had, and now like I'm struggling to maintain that lifestyle. Yeah, exactly. So part of that is recognizing that you don't have to have that lifestyle. You can work through those things. Or if you want that lifestyle, just get yourself to a place where that's in the budget, because ultimately, like my big guilty pleasure is cocoa. I love hot cocoa in my coffee. It's literally $8 a week to buy cocoa. I wish I was kidding. It's $8 a week to buy cocoa, and I'm kind of like, but it's still tight. Maybe I need to cut back on the cocoa. It was really hard. You know this. It was really hard. I couldn't do it. It was so tough to do. Anyways, I want to challenge you. And if you have paid off debt, like pop a comment there and say, hey, you know what? I had some debt, paid it off. Congratulations, good job. If you're on the same page with your spouse about your debt and your money and stuff like that, congratulations. Absolutely, that's huge. All right, so celebrate you and say, hey, you know what? Good job, excellent work. But anyways, I'm gonna get going because I had a rough night with the dog. The dog ate carrots. If you have a dog, don't feed your dog carrots. All right, my kids fed dog carrots, and she's up all night the last 2 nights having to go. And I am the resident dog on duty guy, and I am not a fan of being that. But don't feed your dog carrots. That's another pro tip for the day. But I will get going. But guys, if you have any questions, comments, ideas, thoughts, hit me up a comment in the just throw a comment. Whatever the heck people do, I don't know. What all those kids do, you know? Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, right? But it was nice talking to you. Hope you're doing well. I hope you have a great Thursday. If you're out here in Massachusetts, enjoy the fall. Okay, the snow is melting. All right, it is a wonderful thing. Even though it's raining, enjoy that. All right, but take care of yourselves. Have a fantastic day. I will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. Take care. God bless. Catch you later.